right, thank you. Good evening, I'm Keith Murphy, and welcome to the Northern Roots Festival evening concert. Very exciting night for us. This is the 11th year of the festival. Yeah. I asked the BMC, by way of celebrating our second decade of the festival, could they please just build us a new venue, and they were very accommodating. We are so excited to be here in this facility, in this room. Isn't this just such a beautiful space? And we are so looking forward to filling this room and all of those rooms for many, many years with great music. So we're so grateful for this project to have come to fruition. As you can imagine, a lot of people worked very hard for a long time to make this building happen. And one of them is here tonight. Someone who's been a longtime supporter of the BMC and for whom this lobby that you came was named, Esta Smith. She's right up here. Esta. Is it really your birthday today? It was Esta's 94th birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Esther. Happy birthday to you. There you go. If you donate to the BMC, you get your birthday song sung for you here in the auditorium. This is part of the deal. So thank you so much. Thank you, Esta. As I say, this really is an exciting night for us to kind of have this music here. Moving from our old venue at NEYT, there's been some adjustments for us to make. And as I think all or many of you know, the festival now will spill into tomorrow, into Sunday. So we're going to have a big afternoon at McNeil's with our classic sequence of sessions, starting with our pub sing at 1 o'clock, and then a French-Canadian session, then ending off with an Irish session. So that is going to be a hopping scene there tomorrow. I want to thank everybody at the BMC, not just for their work on the building, but for all the work that they've done and they do every year for the festival. It's just it's an incredible amount of work to kind of pull together all these details. So I really want to thank Gay Foster, Carol Compton, and all those people, Mary, Raquel, and now Crystal. So big hand for those guys. Thank you. I also, of course, really want to thank all the performers and the workshop leaders who gave us a tremendous day once again of teaching workshops and performance workshops and jam sessions. So we're very grateful to all of them, to all the people on the committee who work with me to kind of help me kind of work through a bunch of the planning things also. Big thanks to them. Mostly I want to thank the people that you're about to listen to this evening, the performers. We have a great slate of performers here, some very exciting acts. I'm really excited about it. We're going to follow the format that we've used in recent years here at the festival. I'm actually going to turn the mic over to a sequence of other local performers or people who help make music happen in our community to introduce the individual acts. So, for our first act, I'm going to ask them to be introduced by someone who, I just thought of this today, Our Lady of the Pub Sing, someone who is a great supporter and an organizer of our local pub sing, Amanda Whitman.
Thank you all so much. Yep, as Keith said, I co-lead the Brattleboro Pub Sing with Tony Barrand, who you will also hear this evening, just not yet. If you want to join us or come check it out, see what it's all about, we sing together on the third Saturday of every month at McNeil's Brewery in Brattleboro from 3 to 5 p.m., and everyone is welcome. The next performers that I'm going to introduce are a couple that hails from Connecticut, Dan Foster and Courtney Jay. Dan is a fiddler who grew up playing classical violin in the UK, and heard traditional music in the pubs when he was in college and fell in love with it. Now, Courtney is a step dancer, and she says that she fell into step dancing when the ballet school where she was a student rented some space to a step dance organization, and she's been step dancing ever since. She owns an Irish Dance Academy in Connecticut where they live, and their respective interests in Irish traditional music and Irish traditional dance drew them to Ireland to study, which is where they met. And they've since moved back to Connecticut, and that's where they're living now. Dan's connection to our Northern Roots Festival is kind of a fun one. He came 2 years ago to our festival, having never been to Brattleboro before, followed a friend here, loved the festival so much, fell in love with our local session scene, and comes up as often as he can to play in the Irish session, which happens on the second Wednesday evening of every month, also at McNeil's. And he also made two important friends, who you might remember from that performance 2 years ago, guitarist Eric McDonald and piper Will Woodson. Together they formed a hot new band called Daymark, and we look forward to hearing more from them. And so here we are today, and I hope that some of you were in their workshops where you probably learned that they are both fantastic teachers and wonderful performers. So I present to you Dan Foster and Courtney J.
Thank you so much. So that was some beautiful steps there from Courtney, a slip jig called My Mind Will Never Be Easy. She's the closest thing to a dancing fairy I think I've ever seen. So I'm going to continue on with a couple of tunes that I picked up from my kind of melody partner in crime, Will Woodson. We're both very fond of the repertoire stemming from kind of the Donegal area. And he taught me two barn dances, the second which is called The Shamrock, and they're kind of nice, humorous sounding tunes. Thank you. So those of you with keen observation may have noticed that Courtney has swapped her shoes from the soft shoe, the gillies, now to the hard kind of hornpipe shoes. So we're going to treat you now with two set dances, one fairly common, one maybe not so common. The first tune is called The Priest in His Boots, and whilst Courtney was in Limerick, she was under the tutelage of Catherine Foley, who is an expert in kind of rare set dances, mainly from the Kerry region. So Courtney's going to demonstrate some beautiful choreography for The Priest in His Boots set dance, and then we're going to continue into a fairly standard hornpipe set dance called King of the Fairies. Thank you very much. So some beautiful footwork there from Courtney, and we'll have a quick. She'll do more in a little bit. I'd like to welcome out a wonderful accompanist, Mr. Flynn Cohen, to the stage. Whoop. And we're going to treat you now with a kind of a blast of reels. The first tune that I'm going to play, I introduced to the fiddle workshop earlier. It is a wonderful Paddy O'Brien composition, and I got that kind of from this great collection that his daughter Eileen brought out as part of a master's project, the definitive collection of his music. Paddy O'Brien was one of the great composers of the 20th century for Irish music, whose tunes kind of settled right into the session repertoire, and they're quite beautifully crafted compositions. So I'll start with the Paddy O'Brien reel, and then I'm going to go into a Brendan McGlinchey tune called Splendid Isolation. Kind of, maybe that's like a nod to lots and lots of practice time or something like that, I'm not really sure. And then the last tune is by another composer, a great fiddle player called James Kelly, and it's called Willie and Owens, I believe. So, without further ado, we'll treat some music.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Andy Davis, and this afternoon I just wanted to mention that this stage here was filled with volunteer community musicians playing for probably the first contradance in this space. Maybe the only time a contra dance has happened where the B minor mass happened a little shortly beforehand. Anyway, the Northern Roots is fantastic. An evening like this, showcasing really fine traditional music. Participation is a really big part of traditional music, and the BMC encourages that other times of the year. At the end of June, I wanted to just mention that myself, Keith Murphy, and Becky Tracy have been running a traditional music camp for young musicians 9 to 14. And if you know of any young musicians who they don't have to have a high level of skill, we will provide that. You could set them on a lifetime journey of involvement with this style of music. We hold it here in Brattleboro at Hilltop Montessori. It's the last week of June. It's a week of friendship, music, musical instrument playing, dance, song, harmonizing, drama sometimes, storytelling. So spread the word. Traditional Music Camp, sponsored by the Brattleboro Music Center. Okay, so I really came out here to introduce the next performers. It's always an honor to be asked to introduce people that need no introduction, but I'm going to attempt it. John and Tony have been singing together a long time. There's a rumor that a 50th anniversary of their singing is not far off, and I can't imagine southern Vermont without the sound of John and Tony. It's just been part of the soundtrack of many of our lives. Some people have even said that Tony's melodies, they really sound like finely crafted harmonies to John's melodic bass lines. And you can also flip that over. We never know who's singing melody, who's singing bass. They're very knowledgeable about the music they sing. If you catch them at a good time, they're very funny. They're very funny, and they're just wonderful. The main thing is they're here tonight to sing for us. So let's welcome John Roberts and Tony Barrand.
Well, there you go. You were wrong.
After you've been singing together for a long time, the first thing that goes is memory.
No, but Andy just came out and introduced us. I've been wanting to do that for years.
Be introduced.
Yeah.
I'm John.
Hi,
Okay. You're going to sing this one, so you get to introduce the song. Thank you. Please join the chorus.
By the old Mulmain Pagoda, looking lazy at the sea, there sits a little Burma girl, and I know she thinks of me. For the wind is in the palm trees, and the temple bells do say, come you back, you British soldier, come you back to Mandalay, come you back to Mandalay, where the old flotilla lay. Can't you hear those paddles chunking from Rangoon to Mandalay, on the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. Her petticoat was yellow, and her little cap was green, and her name was Soupy Yorlat, just the same as Thebor's queen. And I seed her first a smoking on a whacking white cheroot, and a wasting Christian kisses on an heathen idol's foot. Blooming idol made of mud, what they called the great gourd bud. Plucky lot she cared for idols, when I kissed her where she stood. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. When the mist was on the rice fields and the sun was dropping slow, she'd get her little banjo and we'd sing "Kulalolo" with her arm upon me shoulder and her cheek again me cheek. We used to watch the steamers and the hathies piling teak, elephants a piling teak in that sludgy, squudgy creek, where the silence hung so heavy you was half afraid to speak. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. Ah, but that's all shoved behind me, long ago and far away, for there aren't no buses running from the bank to Mandalay. And I'm learning here in London what the 10-year soldier tells. When you've heard the Easter calling, you won't never eat naught else. No, you won't eat nothing else. Ah, but them spicy garlic smells, and the sunshine, and the palm trees, and them tinkly temple bells. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. I am sick of wasting leather on these gritty paving stones, and the blasted English drizzle wakes the fever in me bones. Though I walks with 50 housemaids out of Chelsea to the Strand, where they talks a lot of loving, but what do they understand? Beefy face and grubby hands, Lord, what do they understand? I've a sweeter, neater maiden in a cleaner, greener land. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. Ship me somewheres east of Suez, where the best is like the worst, where there aren't no 10 commandments, and a man can raise a thirst. For the temple bells are calling, and it's there that I would be, by the old Moulmein pagoda, looking lazy at the sea. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, with our sick beneath the awnings, when we went to Mandalay. On the road to Mandalay, where the flying fishes play, and the dawn comes up like thunder out of China across the bay. The road to Mandalay was nothing like I-91. The road to Mandalay was the Irrawaddy River that went up, and you can't actually from Mandalay see China out of, because there's no bay there, it's just a river. But the bay, where the estuary to the Irrawaddy is, you can see China.
Can you?
Apparently. Says so in a book, John.
Well, it says so in the book, but I think that's fake news myself. I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But that particular song was, for those of you who may not know, because it was a long time ago, that Mr. Kipling was a former resident of Brattleboro, of course. And the tune was set by Peter Bellamy, who was an occasional visitor. So we thought we'd do one of, we like these two-part harmony ballads that we've been doing a long time. This is a traditional English one called William Taylor.
I'll sing you a song about two lovers. Oh, from Litchfield town they came. The young man's name was William Taylor. Sarah Gray was the lady's name. William Taylor, he has listed, for a soldier he has gone. He's gone and left his own true lover, for to weep and for to mourn. Sarah's parents did despise her, filled her heart with grief and woe. So then at last she's vowed and told them, for a soldier she would go. She's dressed herself in man's apparel, man's apparel she put on, then for to seek her own true lover, for to seek him she has gone. One day as she was exercising a 1, 2, 3, a silver chain pulled down her waistcoat and exposed her lily white breast. The sergeant major stepped up to her, asking her what brought her here. I've come to seek for my true lover, who has proved to me severe. If you've come to seek for your true lover, I pray you tell to me his name. His name it is bold William Taylor. Oh, from Litchfield town he came. Well, if his name be William Taylor, William Taylor is not here. He's lately married a rich young lady, worth £10,000 a year. But if you rise early in the morning, just before the break of day, right here you'll find bold William Taylor, walking out with his lady gay. So she rose early in the morning. Did she? She did. So she rose early in the morning, just before the break of day. Right there she spied bold William Taylor, walking out with his lady gay. So then she called for a sword and a pistol, which were brought at her command. She's fired and shot bold William Taylor, with his lady at his right hand. Then the captain stepped up to her, pleased well at what she's done. He's gone and made her a bold commander, over a ship and all its men. So come all young men from Wells and London, if 'twas served the same as she. It's very sad would be young women, very scarce young men would be. Thank you.
We'll give you a chorus song to sing. It's a song called Row On. It was written down in a logbook of a whaler out of Nantucket. A Nantucket whaler in 1846, written down in the logbook there, and set to a tune by the English singer Tim Laycock. And if anybody tells you it has any relation to the Essex, the whaler that was rammed by a whale, it is not true, and I will just see me and I'll explain. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Clouds are upon the summer sky, there's thunder in the wind. Pull on, and homeward hie, nor give one look behind. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Bear where thou goest the words of love, say all that words can say, changeless affection's strength to prove, but speed upon the way. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Like yonder river would I fly to where my heart would be. My bark would soon outsail the tide that hurries to the sea. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. But yet a star shines constant still through yonder cloudy sky, and hope as bright my bosom fills from faith that cannot die. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Row on, God speed the way, thou canst not linger here. Clouds hang about at break of end of day, the morning may be clear. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away, there's dawn beyond the night. Clouds are upon the summer sky, there's thunder in the wind. pull on, and homeward hie, nor give one look behind. Row on, another day may shine with brighter light. Ply the oars and pull away. There's dawn beyond the night.
I choose my words carefully when I say how lucky we are to have the legendary John Roberts and Tony Barron singing for us. So when my son was very, very young, he used to like to go to sleep to music, and one of his favorite recordings was this cowboy recording of cowboy songs and stories, and that CD was from Skip Gorman. Skip is widely known as a great interpreter of cowboy music and lore. But in other quarters, he's very well known as a great exponent of the Bill Monroe style of mandolin playing. But Skip has always been drawn to the roots of all of that music, to the fiddle music of the British Isles, and he had a very influential trip to Shetland years ago. And long before I knew him, I'd come across this video of a workshop from the Shetland Festival, and there was Skip playing with Tom Anderson, one of the renowned exponents of Shetland fiddle playing. And Skip's been a big force in the fiddle scene here in New England for a long, long time. And on a good night, if you go to the McNeil's Irish music session, you might hear Skip. I was at McNeil's last spring for a session, and late in the evening, Skip started up a tune, and just for a few bars, he played on his own. And I just heard that sweet, sweet fiddle sound. And I was so happy when I asked him that he agreed to come and play for us here at the festival this year. He's brought with him Gordon Peary, who is a New England icon of the piano. And you see some of the notes in the program there. Gordon's he's backed up all of the best fiddle players in New England. We're delighted to have Gordon here as well. So please make welcome Skip Gorman and Gordon Peary.
Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here. I was just astounded when I pulled up to this hall and saw this music center. I had heard about it, but I didn't realize how beautiful it was, how lucky we are to have something like this in Vermont. And I feel very lucky that Gordon Peary is here to play some piano with me. You know, we played at the Shetland Folk Festival. We play for dances around town, and just, I think he's one of the finer players of all time in that style. So we're going to play a couple of jigs and some airs and some things I wrote. And we're going to start with a couple of jigs that I wrote years ago. And of course, when I write a tune, it's always very, very difficult, so they're really hard to play. This could be the hardest tune I've ever played in my life. I wrote a couple of jigs in the 70s. I was teaching at a private school in New York State, and I knew that Rod and Randy Miller and Gordon and Harvey Tolman and Bob McQuillan were up here, and so if I got a Saturday off, I would drive up the Massachusetts Turnpike and come over to Nelson and stay with my friends. So I wrote a jig called Up to New Hampshire, followed by one called the Cellar Hole Jig. I took that lead from Randy Miller, who kind of walks around looking at these old cellar holes to see if there are old people who wrote fiddle tunes about those old places and all. So the first one is Up to New Hampshire, the second one is The Cellar Hole. Jim, see what we can do, Gord. Thank you so much. Don't get a chance to play those that often. I've been going to Scotland for the last 6 years or so in July. And, you know, I go around Scotland and I sing cowboy songs, but I'm there so I can go into the pubs and work on my Celtic fiddle playing. And that's what I really enjoy doing. And last year I was there and I learned this air. There's a place on the East Coast near Stonehaven, which I believe is where Keith Murphy's mother comes from. He told me tonight. Stonehaven on the East Coast of Scotland. Yeah. And right below Stonehaven is a town called Auchenblay. And I've made some good friends there, a fellow who owns a music store in Stonehaven, lives in Auchenblay, and has a sailboat, so we sail around. And when I was there last time, I learned this beautiful air called Auchenblay. And I just love the way Gordon plays it, so we're going to play it for you. Thank you very much. What a great auditorium. I just really enjoyed playing that for you because I love the way Gordon plays that. A great friend, a real gentleman, lovely guitar player, lives in Vermont. His name is Roger Cale. He's going to come out and join us now. Would you make him welcome? I'm originally from Rhode Island. My parents would talk about how, my ancestors came from Ireland. And as I got older, I realized that my great-grandfather was the first Irish Catholic attorney in Rhode Island. And his father had come from Donegal, but none of my family knew that, and they didn't really care about it because he was working his way up in the world, and they didn't want to know about, the farmer back in Ireland. So they never talked about where he's from or anything like that. So I'm growing up, and I'm on the computer, Ancestry.com, and everything lined right up perfectly. I found my great-grandfather's homestead on the tip of Donegal, a place called Ballygorman, right up on the tip of Malin Head in Donegal. So that was kind of cool, And so I wrote an air called Ode to Ballygorman, and then we're going to follow it with another tune I wrote called The Boys of the Girls. Every other tune in Ireland is the boys of this and the boys of that. Huh? Why not?
So, I'll try Ode to Ballygorman.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. The boys and the girls. We're going to do a set now that's a fairly common Irish set. I'm going to start it with actually a song that was called Der Wentwater's Farewell. And it might have been a pipe tune, but it was a song. And Louis Killen, the famous singer, used to sing it with his concertina, and I just love the melody. So I kind of turned it into an air to play on the fiddle. And then we're going to play Lado Burns' Reel, followed by a tune that I learned from a good friend who's recently passed away, Charlie Conquest, who owned the music store up in Hanover. And he taught me this tune, and every time I play it now I think of him, because we lost him about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, called Ornette's Trip to Belfast. And I guess Ornette was a clarinet player, a saxophone player, a famous jazz player. And so a fellow named Michael McGoldrick, I think it was, wrote a tune for him called Ornette's Trip to Belfast, which I thought was cool. And then we'll follow that with the Virginia Reel, right? So, see what happens. Yeah, twice in the air.
Skip Gorman, Gordon Peary, Roger Kale. And once again, we have Ray Siebold heading up our video team. If you want to see anything again in the concert, then it'll be broadcast on BCTV. I imagine that I'm going to live out my final years in a home somewhere watching reruns of the Northern Roots Festival. My final years. I could do worse, yeah. So, the traditional music scene in New England is kind of this mix of a lot of different traditions, and one of the really important ones, of course, is the music of French Canada. A lot of people moved down from Quebec, brought their music, had a very profound influence on many aspects of the culture, including the dance scene. I would say that the voice of Franco-American music is José Vachon. She's been singing the songs around the country for decades, and we knew her years ago when she was with a group called Chanterelle. We used to often sort of cross paths with them. There you go. At festivals and different events. And then last year, Becky and I were lucky enough that we were part of the Boston Revels show, and the theme there last year was Acadian and Cajun. And it was a fantastic show, and José was part of the show as well. So we had a great time over the course of a few weeks reconnecting with her and singing with her and playing with her. So we're really, again, very grateful, as we are with all our performers, but especially the people who come from a little ways away from out of the community, who come and share their music with us. We're very happy to have a good, strong Franco representation here, and we could not do better than José Vachon.
Thank you, merci beaucoup. Bonsoir. Ah, écoutez ça, c'est beau. It's an honor to be here tonight. I heard so many great musicians today, and it was so many fun panels. I thought I would open up with a song from the Revels. It was a great experience with Keith and Becky. This song was sung by the Acadian people from the moment they became Acadian people. The song actually has traveled with them throughout history as they walked back trying to find their homeland. Par derrière chez mon père, il y a un pommier doux, il y a un pommier doux. Les trois filles d'un prince sont endormies dessous. Oh, j'ai du grain de mie, j'ai du grain de paille, j'ai de l'oranger, j'ai du tri, j'ai du tricolis, j'ai des allumettes, j'ai des ananas, des pierres à fusil, des lauriers fleuris, j'ai du zi, j'ai des inésis, j'ai des inésines, j'ai des inésos, j'ai de beaux oiseaux. La plus jeune se réveille, dit ma sœurie les jours, dit ma sœurie les jours. Non, ce n'est qu'une étoile qui éclaire nos amours. Oh, j'ai du grain de mie, j'ai du grain de paille, j'ai de l'oranger, j'ai du tri, j'ai du tricolis, j'ai des allumettes, j'ai des ananas, des pierres à fusil, des lauriers fleuris, j'ai du si, j'ai des inésis, j'ai des inésines, j'ai des inésos, j'ai de beaux oiseaux. Non, ce n'est qu'une étoile qui éclaire nos amours, qui éclaire nos amours. Nos amants sont en guerre et combattent pour tout. Oh, j'ai du grain de mie, j'ai du grain de paille, j'ai de l'oranger, j'ai du tri, j'ai le tricolis, j'ai des allumettes, j'ai des ananas, des pierres à fusil, des lauriers fleuris, j'ai du zi, j'ai des inésis, j'ai des inésines, j'ai des inésos, j'ai de beaux oiseaux. Nos amants sont en guerre, ils combattent pour nous, ils combattent pour nous. S'ils gagnent la bataille, ils auront nos amours. Oh, j'ai du grain de mie, j'ai du grain de paille, j'ai de l'oranger, j'ai du tri, j'ai le tricolis, j'ai des allumettes, j'ai des ananas, des pierres à fusil, des lauriers fleuris, j'ai du ci, j'ai des inésis, j'ai des inésines, j'ai des inésos, j'ai de beaux oiseaux. Merci. Well, I definitely discovered today that this community loves to sing. Yeah, I was so impressed, and I taught all in French, and everybody sang along immediately. I said, oh, they knew it already, I'm sure. Excuse me. In the Women in Song panel, I talked about this next song, and I thought I would save it for the concert to make sure that we got to sing along tonight also. It's called Je l'aimais tant, mon mari. I loved him so, my husband. It's an old song from 15th century. They have many, many versions. I've heard at least 3 dozen versions of this song over the years. It's always about the little husband. And this one is from the Beauce region of Quebec, where my mother's from. Your chorus is going to be very simple, I'll tell you in a second. But the story is always the same. Is basically, sometimes people change the ending, basically on what they would like to say or make fun of. But the story is a young woman who just got married, and she says, my father married me off to such a tiny little man. I put straw in the mattress and burnt the old straw, and oops, I discovered I had accidentally roasted my little husband. The cat found him, mistook him for a mouse, and now she's free to marry a bigger man. And your chorus goes like this. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari. C'est beau. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari. Mon père m'a donné te mari, 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 il me l'a donné si petit. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant. Il me l'a donné si petit, il me l'a donné si petit, il me l'a donné si petit, il me l'a donné si petit que je l'ai perdu dans mon lit. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant. Que je l'ai perdu dans mon lit, que je l'ai perdu dans mon lit, que je l'ai perdu dans mon lit, que je l'ai perdu dans mon lit. J'ai pris ma paille, je la brûlis. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant. J'ai pris ma paille, que je l'ai perdu, j'ai perdu, que j'avais pris. Voyons, voyons, that's a good French. Le chat l'a pris pour une souris. Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant, tant, tant. Le chat l'a pris pour une souris, le chat l'a pris pour une souris, le chat l'a pris pour une souris, le chat l'a pris pour une souris. La prochaine fois que je me marie, je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari. La prochaine fois que je me marie, 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 je vais le prendre 6'3". Je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari, je l'aimais tant, 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 je l'aimais tant, mon mari. Well, maybe almost 30 years ago, I used to live in Belchertown, Massachusetts. Yeah. Hey! Hi! And I lived, actually, I could walk to the Quabbin Reservoir every day. It was part of my walks. And I was fascinated by the story of the four towns being flooded to create the reservoir. And I went to a lecture, and there were actually a few people who showed up to see slides of the towns that they had lived in. And that really touched me to watch their reaction. Of course, I've always loved songs about moving away, because I relate to it so much. Excuse me. So, if you'll allow me, comme on dit en français, I wrote my first English song about the Quabbin. So I'd like to try it out for you tonight. But I wrote it ages ago. And I thought tonight you're familiar with the area. So this is called the Quabbin Farewell. And it tells the story of, well, first they created the Quabbin, of course, for the immigration that kept coming, swamping the swamp. What's the word I'm looking for in English? Des fois ça marche pas. They were swarming the Boston area, Irish, French, Canadian, and so they were looking for water supply, and they came west, and by 1939 is when the flooding began for those four towns. So it's called the Quabbin Farewell, where these people celebrated that one last night, one last ball. In the 1840s came a hungry people, better way of life was their quest. And the city, fearful of a lack of water, began its search to the west. Came upon our valley, called the place of many waters, made up of our four peaceful towns. And the day finally came when my home was reclaimed, to be seen standing nevermore. At the farewell ball we were strolling along, sharing last memories before we had to part. Bring me back to the place I belong, a home that will always remain in my heart. So the city people came and built a tunnel about 100 feet underground. Though we tried to ignore it as our mills were closing, didn't know where my life was bound. Should I plant a garden? Will I see a harvest? Do I bother to fix the back door? But the day finally came when my home was reclaimed, to be seen standing nevermore. At the farewell ball we were strolling along, sharing last memories before we had to part. Bring me back to the place I belong, a home that will always remain in my heart. Now the church was demolished, not a cornerstone standing to erase living treasures of yore. And the bodies of those who had cherished the valley were moved to a neighboring shore. As the waters were rising, slowly drowning our memories, we assembled to bid all farewell, knowing we'd never see how the valley would be. Someday we'll return to tell. At the farewell ball we were strolling along, sharing last memories before we had to part. Bring me back to the place I belong, a home that will always remain in my heart. At the farewell ball we were strolling along, sharing last memories before we had to part. Bring me back to the place I belong, a home that will always remain in my heart. Thank you. I always hear a really thick accent when I sing in English. Somehow, it just doesn't seem natural for me. I'd like to finish off with a favorite song of a friend of mine who passed away at a very young age, 36 years ago, 20 years ago this year. She was from Barrie, Vermont, Martha Pellerin Drury. She was an avid singer of Franco-American music, an activist, and all she asked as we gathered to say our goodbyes is make sure you keep this music alive. And I'd like to invite Keith and Becky to help me do justice to one of her favorite songs. This is called, it's called La Jeune Mariée, the Young Bride. And there's no more to say. And thank you for inviting me. I had such a great day. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Mon père m'y marie avec un homme de ville. Mon père m'y marie avec un homme de ville. Le lundi je me marie, le mardi je monte en ville. Et là, voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Le lundi je me marie, le mardi je monte en ville. Le lundi je me marie, le mardi je monte en ville. Il m'achète un pain blanc, une bouteille de vin pleine. Et là, voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. J'ai tout mangé, mon pain, j'ai bu ma bouteille pleine. J'ai tout mangé, mon pain, j'ai bu ma bouteille pleine. Rendu à la maison, il a voulu me battre et là. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, mon là. Voilà la jeune mariée. Marie, battez-moi pas, moi qui est si malade. Marie, battez-moi pas, moi qui est si malade. J'ai un gros mal de tête, j'ai mal aux oreilles. Là, voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. That was fun.
We're still working out some kinks a little bit here.
Mais vous ne connaissez pas les maladies de ces dames. Mais vous ne connaissez pas les maladies de ces dames. Le matin sont malades, le soir elles vont au balai là. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée. Voilà la jeune mariée, l'on l'a. Voilà la jeune mariée.
I'll try to be very good and not. I usually don't use a microphone, so I'll try to not blow you out of this lovely new building that we have. Northern Roots Festival welcomes you this evening to the beginning of its second decade. The Brattleboro Music Center itself, going back to its original roots, is in its 7th decade. And for me, a lot of today and a lot of this festival each year is about the old and the new. Meeting people, seeing people that I may only see here, but see every year. Meeting new people, playing music with new people that I haven't played with before. And our last, this next act is, to me, the sort of perfect synthesis of what the Northern Roots Festival, building a music community, is all about. Brattleboro appears on the program every year. It's never the same group twice. It's a group of people who are brought together for just this year, just the 1 year, to create something to present to you that shares their passion, their love of this kind of music with all of us. We have from the north, from the south, from at least 2 river valleys. We have someone who's been on the committee that runs this festival for many years. We have someone else who's on it for either the first time or not very long. All of these things come together, and I would ask you to please welcome Sarah Blair, David Cantini, Flynn Cohen, Corey DeMario, Brattleboro 2018.
No, you can't hear me. You know what I'm gonna do? Oh no, because it's gonna sound different when I play the guitar. Well, Alan will take care of it. Hold on a second. This is gonna be a very important thing that I do. That wasn't supposed to go like. That's better though, right? Yeah.
He just wanted you to admire his outfit, I think.
So, as Carol was mentioning, we've never played together before, so this is going to be really fun. We organized these tunes, and now we're going to play them. We're going to start with some reels. This is the first one's composed by a fantastic Irish fiddle player named Tommy Peoples, and it's called Tommy Peoples. And the next one is called The Ormond Sound. And wait, who is it by?
Patty.
Oh, by Patty O'Brien. You see, I didn't even know that, and now I know. Patty O'Brien made up that tune. And then the last one is called The Crock of Gold. And it's written by Vincent Broderick Flynn. Would you like the microphone?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, this is how it's going to go. Flynn's going to whisper in my ear, and then I'm going to say it to you. Flute player Vincent Broderick was a flute player from Sligo, which is on the west coast of Ireland. That's not that one, sorry. Okay, that's gonna droop, but.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to continue now with some jigs, and these are 3 more tunes that are all in 6/8 meter, if that means anything to you. 6 notes approximately per measure. And well, those, because sometimes there's less.
More,
yes,
sometimes less.
That's right. Yeah.
This is a music school. Get it together.
I know. Sorry. I know. Actually, Flynn and I both have degrees in music. Actually, yeah, I know. It's a lot of good it's done us. Yeah. 6. Anyway, the first one is called Sleeve Rustle. The second one is called the Hope Jig, and we could all use a lot of hope these days. And Sarah Blair, our fiddle player, wrote the Hope Jig. Again, you learn something all the time here. And then the last one is simply called Sport. Whatever you just said, yeah. I think I'm going to stop talking now because it seems like we should play music now. Are you all okay? Yeah, good. Okay, good. Well, it has been a pleasure to play for all you tonight, and we really appreciate you all coming out to the Northern Roots Festival this year at the fantastic new Brattleboro Music Center facility here. It's this is the first year we've done the festival here in this new place, and it feels like home already. We're really lucky to have such a great place and such a great organization here in Brattleboro. We actually, I'm on the, Keith, Flynn and I are both on the sort of the Northern Roots organizing committee and board, and Keith and I actually, we talked a lot about whether we should do the festival here this year or wait another year and do it back at the youth, do it this year at the youth theater, and we kind of went back and forth, and it's just, I can't even imagine it now anywhere else than here. So it's really cool to have a home for this festival and this event, and we're lucky. I'm going to keep talking about it unless I think of something else. So anyway, we're going to play one more set of tunes. I just wanted to also say thank you to Alan Stockwell on the sound tonight. Alan and his assistant Gabe Bradshaw there, they really have made it all a lot easier for us, so we couldn't do it without them. All right, we're just going to play a few more tunes. This first one might be a little loud, and I'm not going to say anything about them because I actually don't know the names of any of them, except that one of them, as I look over across the stage, one of them has the word buttermilk in it. Yeah, right? What's the rush? David, you have to tell Sarah. She has to tell Flynn.
What's the rush?
Okay. Rush, the band from Canada.
It's okay to do that. It's okay.
All right, David Cantini, Sarah Blair, Flynn Cohen, man with the silver tongue, Corey DeMario. There you go, Brattleboro 2018. We're going to bring everybody out for our big finale. Come on out, guys. Call all hands to man the capstan. See the cables running clear. Heave away and with a will, boys. For New England we will steer. Everybody. Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to old New England, rolling home, dear land to thee.
Round Cape Horn, one frosty morning, and the sails are filled with snow, and the shellbacks all are singing, let her go, boys, let her go.
Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to old New England. Rolling home, dear land to thee.
And the waves we leave behind us seem to murmur as they flow. There's a hearty welcome waiting in the land to which you go. Rolling home, rolling home, rolling home across the sea. Rolling home to old New England. Rolling home, dear land to thee. And we'll sing in joyful chorus through the watches of the night. We'll sight the shore of old New England when the dawn brings in the light. Rolling home,